Welcome back to the most popular, boring show about the Portland real estate housing market. My name's David Caldwell. I'm with Krista, Britton. We're going to talk about what's going on in the Portland real estate market, some numbers. We're going to talk about some client experiences. Basically, year to date, we're going to look at numbers through August of 2023. And this is really important because I just asked ChatGPT to describe the state of the Portland metro area housing market, and they don't have the availability to. They only have data up to September 2021. So if you want to know the good stuff, the real stuff, you got to keep watching. So
take that technology.
Let's start at the most important part. I think what people always want to know when people go, David, how's the market? I think they're asking what's happening with home values. Mm-hmm. So if we look at what's happening with home values, comparing 2023 to 2022 through August, the average sales price has decreased 3% from $619,200 to $600,500. The median sales price has decreased 2.7% from $550,000 to $534,900. Now, if you watch this last month or you watch any of our channels, I've been talking a lot how we've had 8 consecutive months where the average sales price has been less than the same month the year before. Well, that changed. During the month of August, the average sales price was about $1,000 more than last August. So we broke the trend. So now I'm going to have to say something like, for the last 8 of 9 months, the average sales price has been less than the same month before. It's still not great news, but if you think about having 7% mortgage interest rates today, we're like at 7.3% or something like that. The market has fared pretty well. Any comments on pricing, Krista?
I think people just have to be realistic when it comes to pricing. I think a lot of people are only hearing negativity. I think I'm getting a lot of the same things where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in real estate. Like, oh, I'm like, it's not that bad. It's pre-pandemic. It's normal. Things are moving at a more normal pace. We're doing normal price reductions. It's normal. These are all normal things. They're not bad. They're normal.
I do think that people forget that multiple offer situations are part of every market. Mm-hmm. Price reductions are part of every market. Mm-hmm. So people see price reductions, they go, oh my gosh, things are so bad. There were price reductions in the best real estate market we've ever had in 2021.
Yeah.
People thought we only had multiple offer situations in like 2021. I was selling real estate in 2020 or 2012 and 2011, 2010, we had multiple offer situations. If the house was desirable and priced right, you get multiple offers.
I wrote an offer last week. There's 13 offers on it. 13. And I tell people that, they're like, even in this market? I'm like, yes, in this market.
So I think like this brings us to a good point. When we're talking about the Portland metro area right now, but we service everywhere. In your neighborhood, your home, the area you're thinking about buying in, the city you're thinking about buying in, there's variability, right? There are certain neighborhoods that just don't perform well. If you haven't been an agent for a very long time, you might not be able to know which one those are, right? There are neighborhoods that historically always do really well. So real estate isn't this, well, this house is up, so every house is up. Right. Real estate is variable. People's circumstances are different. You know, this is a business where we're selling an asset, but it's a highly complex and a highly emotional transaction because where people are going to live. And it's usually the most expensive transaction they ever participate in from like a debt standpoint or, you know, an item that you're buying or selling. So there's a lot of complexities. And when it comes to pricing, I know you did a video yesterday on Sherwood. What's going on with Sherwood pricing?
So Sherwood, year to date, the average sales price in Sherwood is $770,000. We're still showing appreciation. Sherwood is one of the only areas when I price it out individually that is still showing month over month appreciation, right? So it's still holding pretty well, but we are still seeing price reductions. Homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. We're seeing less multiple offers. We're seeing sale fails. We're still seeing all those things, but Sherwood is still kind of in its own little bit of a bubble, I would say, compared to the overall trends that we're seeing in the Portland housing market.
Yeah, some areas are declining in value more than 3%. Some areas are increasing. That's the point. We won't get super granular on it right now because then this would be really boring. But if you want to know, leave us a comment. Just email us, right? It's really easy to get in touch with us. So let's move to new listings. So new listings, there were 2,923 new listings, which is almost the same that we had last year. Now, I want to comment on something, and that is that 2019 was, for all intensive purposes, a pretty normal year for housing. That might be one of the last normal years that we had, because we've had COVID years and we've had recovering from COVID years and high interest rates, but we just had moderate interest rates in 2019, and let's just call it 2019 was pretty boring compared to the landscape of what we've experienced 2012, 2021, 2022. New listings year to date through August in 2019, there were 30,458. Year to date new listings are at 21,710. It's a 5-year low, right? Now, that is one of the things that's helping our pricing, because as we get into pending sales and closed sales, we'll talk about where those numbers are at. But Krista, let's just talk real quick about, I've been thinking about selling my home, but I have a 4.5% interest rate. How many of those conversations have we had?
I feel like almost 100% of them has been, I have a 3%. I have an interest rate I will never give up. I can never sell this house because I will never get an interest rate like that again.
Yeah. So what's kind of funny is that there were a lot of 2 and 3% interest rates in the Great Recession, and they were never going to come back, and then we got them again. And I'm not saying we're going to get them again. I don't think I hope we don't. But here's the thing, people give up 0% credit cards and loan payments, and hey, if you can keep the property as a rental property and it doesn't impact you negatively tax wise, or it makes more sense to trade out what you might be able to save in capital gains, etc. It might really behoove a lot of people to keep certain properties as rentals. There's a property I was thinking about selling, and where rates are today versus where they were when I was thinking about selling, it really makes sense to keep that property, where before I really thought about offloading it. So things can change based on what's happening in the market. But right now, it's really prominent that we talk to someone, they're thinking about selling, maybe they want to do a convenience move, they don't want to remodel the kitchen, they'd rather buy a house that has a remodeled kitchen. They want a bigger backyard. Trading from a 4% interest rate to a 7% interest rate for a lot of people just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't, but the circumstances have to really be compelling. One of the houses I'm selling, she I believe bought it in 2018. So it's appreciated a good amount, but she's giving up a really low interest rate, but she wants to move to be closer to her family in another state where she's got grandbabies that she wants to go and take care of. So there's a real incentive there for her to sell so she can be closer to family, right? So people are still moving. People still have the need to move. Not everyone wants to hold onto a property as a rental property because people don't want to be landlords, especially in the state of Oregon where it's not super conducive to landlords. The laws are not pro-landlord. So a lot of people don't want to take on that stress or that burden, which is understandable. So people are always moving.
Yeah. And if we talk about that, leading into pending sales, right? Pending sales last month, keep in mind, 2,923 new listings, 2,053 pending sales. So that's quite the gap. I just saw something got sent to me. It's 92% of homes are getting an offer on them. Really? Because that's 1,000 home difference. And year to date, there's 15,705 pending sales. And we talked about that there have been 21,710 new listings. So the math on this thing that I just saw, 92% of homes are getting an offer, I don't know where that data is coming from, what neighborhood that might be, but it's not the metro area. But this is why this is important, going back to people with low interest rates, is that most buyers are sellers, Not the whole market isn't made up of first-time home buyers or people moving from California. I think statistically, usually about 30-ish% of buyers in the market are first-time home buyers. There was a recent Zillow survey that said something like 50+%, 54, 55%, something like that maybe. I could be wrong. Not as wrong as the 92% going pending. I could be wrong. Are first-time home buyers, and we don't have enough people selling, moving up, moving down, moving into Oregon, moving into Portland to absorb all the inventory. If you're a seller, why is this important, right? Because it means your price is probably going to be a little bit softer than you want it to be. As a buyer, why is this important? It means you might be able to get a deal, right? If we put together a list of 10 homes and you didn't care about buying your favorite, you just wanted a really good deal, we probably only get to the fourth or fifth house before we got a really good deal. Right? Some people might say no, but eventually on that list of 10 homes, someone's probably going to say yes. The question is, do you really want a deal or do you want your favorite house? Because sometimes you can't get both, right? Krista was talking about being in a multiple offer situation where there's 13 people trying to buy a property. What was the price point of that property, by the way?
So that property was listed at $485, I believe, and I know it went for over $520,000.
Yeah.
But that was a dialed-in home, and that was once again I was working with first-time home buyers, and a lot of first-time home buyers trying to find a dialed-in home that's updated, detached, single-family home with nothing that they need to do that's move-in ready is hard to come by, and a lot of buyers don't feel comfortable coming in and having to do a bunch of updates because their monthly payment is going to be so high at this point.
Yeah, the two hottest price points when we look at sales by price point. Between 400,000 and 500,000 in the Portland metro area, there were 485 sales. Between 500,000 and 600,000, there were 444. Now, that's out of 2,155. So almost 50% of the sales are being done between $400,000 and $600,000. So that's the hot part of the market. That's where it's spicy. And by the way, like we were looking the other day, how many homes are listed in the suburbs right now between like 700,000 and $1 million?
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot.
Yes. And it's every day. It seems like it's just ticking up a little bit, ticking up.
Yeah. So, again, if you're a seller, we need to be cognizant of that. Doesn't mean you can't achieve really great pricing. I mean, we're only off historic pricing, for the metro area by 3%. Certain suburban areas, while the market is harder, while it doesn't feel as good when 1 or 3 people show up to an open house, you're probably still selling at a record price. The statistics would say that. So it's still are really good. There still are really good conditions if you're a home seller. But if you're a buyer, options of buying a house, that is a buyer's best friend. So let's move to closed sales. So we were talking about it. Closed sales. Oh, I might have given an incorrect stat because I'm looking. Oh wait, no, never mind. That's fine.
Don't like incorrect stats, David.
I hate incorrect stats. That was something else I was looking at. Closed sales, 2,155. That was a decrease from August of 2022. That's fine. We know things are decreasing. New listings are down. That was a little bit of an increase from July. Now, we talked about, why are we seeing a little bit more listings? Why are we seeing a little bit more closed sales at this time of year? We were talking about this before we got on the call, Krista. Do you want to elaborate on what we were talking about?
We were saying it's that final push. It's the end of summer. People are trying to get their home on the market at that last minute where they still feel people are out and looking for homes, right? And that's one of the things I asked you is why do you think people think summer is the best time to sell, right? And your response was, well, it can be depending on the item that's being sold and what's going on in the market, right? So we're seeing that kind of last bit of end of the summer push right now because people feel this is the best time to sell or to offload their home.
Yeah, if you have that 3,000 to 4,000 square foot suburban home where people buy into your home because the school district, not even necessarily the style of house, those folks are usually moving the family during the summer. And what's happened this week? My daughter just had her first day of second grade, right? Kids are back in school. I know your kids are back in school as well. My 4-year-old is going to be in preschool next week. Kids are going back to school, which means some of that family migration doesn't happen as much. Does a first-time home buyer care about buying in the summer or the winter or the fall or the spring? They generally buy when their lease is up, right? Yeah. So there are not ideal conditions for a suburban home, big suburban home, like December. That is a harder time to make a move. It has to be really compelling to get me to move my kids during the school year or cancel winter vacation or something like that.
I'd say just to argue with you a little bit on that point though, in December, depending on what's going on with the market, interest rates, things like that, I've usually been able to sell my listings within the first 5 days, but that's because competition is so low. So if we have it priced right, because there's a lot of people who are always looking or maybe moving out of state, things like that. But to your point, right, families looking to move would rather move in the summer with schools and boundary lines and things like that.
Yeah, totally agree. So look, here's what we know. The average sales price is off about 3%. Year over year, the average sales price change over the last 12 months is down 1.2%. We've been losing. We got a little bit back. So last month we were at 3.5%. New listings are down, but new listings are down, but buyers are down even further. We have huge record lows of buyers and sellers in Portland, and it's because we have these 7% plus interest rates. My personal belief is if we continue to have interest rates above 6.5%, the metro area, remember areas are different depending on where you live, but the metro area will see declining home values as long as interest rates are above 6.5%. Because at some point, affordability has to come down to where people can afford the payment, so more people can buy, or rates have to come down. If rates come down into the sixes, I think it's going to be pandemonium again. I don't think people's plans change. They just get delayed, especially when it comes to housing. I will want to sell when I have the opportunity. I will want to buy when I have the opportunity. And when you see this many lows, generally they are followed by highs because people are sitting on the sidelines, and then they go into the marketplace. And you keep hearing it described as this rubber band effect. So if you're a home buyer, you're a home seller, and you're just sitting on the sidelines wondering what to do, you can't chat GPT. In the beginning of the talk, we looked that up. They only have data through 2021. And you can't just watch this video and go, I know exactly what's going to happen in this neighborhood in Sherwood.
Yeah.
At some point, you need to sit down and go through some analysis and look at the trends and look at the numbers. Hey, there's a 28-year low of new mortgage applications. That's affordability. That means not every house is going to sell. That means it's going to be tougher. But the average sales price in some area has never been higher. There might be a beautiful opportunity for you to sell your house, and maybe you're a cash buyer and go buy something and have a really good place to negotiate from. But you can't get the answer to those questions if you don't sit down with someone who knows what's going on and talk to them about it.
100%.
Krista, I'm going to give you the closing thought because I talk a lot.
You do talk a lot. So one of the biggest things, right, is affordability, right? And that's what everyone's kind of concerned with, and that's what we've focused on a lot. So anyone that comes to me and talks to me about, hey, because a lot of time buyers too, they're really concerned, is now a good time to buy? Everyone gets a little hesitant, a little scared to buy. They don't want to overpay. They don't want to get into something that they can't afford. And I think the best advice is when you meet with your mortgage broker and you're buying based on what you can afford with your monthly payment. So a lot of people will get approved for X, but they really feel comfortable here. Stay in that area. Stay in your lane. Stay in the area that you feel comfortable, and just know that if you buy at your comfort level now, you will have the opportunity, probably multiple opportunities to refinance, and the you in 5 years is not going to regret the purchase you made when you look at the money you've made over time, at the appreciation.
Yeah. You know what? I love that, and it's actually, we were just out on the couch, and I'm going to have to do closing thought now. I'm sorry. And I was looking through Warren Buffett book. because I love Warren Buffett, and if you don't love Warren Buffett, I don't know what to say to you. He's a wonderful man. I think he's America's really rich grandpa, and he just spews great advice. But there's this quote that says, "It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price." I just look at that and I thought, I should buy the house that I like, that I can afford.
Yeah. And that's what you should do.
Yeah. So if you guys have questions, if you guys want to do that consultation, if you guys need an analysis of an area, the market, you guys want to see more videos like this, like and subscribe, or just email Krista or I. You can get us both at hello@hillshirerealtygroup.com. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.